It's called the Smokin' Hat Podcast.
Who's going to win this battle of the lumberjacks?
Yeah, controversy is just good.
By no account is any of this true.
International politics.
Oh, but you have to be aware of the optics.
You gotta be aware. And like, dude,
I don't really wash my hands ever.
we lost a significant amount of our deposit.
Those who have perpetrated this hoax.
History.
The young Turks, probably the old Turks, been in.
Three coups a decade or something. But
there's actually rules against me being involved in domestic politics.
And anything else that grabs them.
You guys know that Eric Adams is the mayor
currently? Yeah.
Donald J. Trump, he's got nothing to hide.
They don't know what they're doing.
You're like, oh, okay, that tracks a little bit better.
Okay, I gotta remember that.
We sure hope you enjoy it.
All right, Jimbo, we're back.
We're back.
How was your 2 weeks?
Good.
Putting in a lot of T-pose, putting up some structure.
I took out a lot of T-posts. Getting rid of my tomatoes. They're gone.
Okay.
It was a bad year for tomatoes.
What makes it a bad year for tomatoes?
This is a me problem, not a nature problem. I used some mulch that had some weed seed in it because it was old mulch, and that's the opposite of what you're trying to do with mulch.
Yeah.
So it got overgrown, and they just weren't producing very well. And tomatoes are pain in the ass. If you don't baby them, they they become more of a liability. Yeah. So I pulled all that crap out, and I've got a big old tarp over that area so I can replant it with some fall winter stuff soon here.
Sweet. We used to get the mulch from the dump, and that was bad. I think it had things in it. It wasn't good. And then, once we were doing a little better as a family, I think we started getting the good mulch from the nursery. But yeah, we used to get the dump mulch, which is, I think they just put all the branches dropped off at the dump into a shredder. And it might have been free. It was possibly very cheap, but maybe free.
As long as you don't have some sort of persistent herbicide. Weed seeds you can manage if you don't let it sit uncovered for like 12 months like we did with our old stuff. We get it dropped off from the power companies. We know a guy at the power company and whatever tree service they work with, when they have to get the lines, Right. Anyways, a bunch of 20-year-old dudes come once every week or two and drop off a load of wood chips.
That's great.
I give them watermelons.
Sweet. That's a good deal.
I've got about the same square footage of wood chips as I do living space in my house at this point.
Really? It's a lot.
That's a lot. Well, no, it's a small house, but in a big pile of wood chips.
We used to, we would get the pile dumped at the beginning of the summer, and we always it was up to me and my two brothers to spread them. Yeah. And then one year we were traveling or just being lazy, and we just never spread them. So it sat in the driveway, and then a bunch of squirrels started living in it, or maybe bunnies started living in it. And then when we dug it up, they were they didn't know what to do, and we named them, and it was a big ordeal because we let it sit so long that they nested in there.
Oh yeah, I've got a trailer of straw as well, which I use for different mulching applications, and I'm sure I get lots of little mammals living in there.
Mm-hmm. How was bowling?
Good.
Is it a league structure? Is it just a fun?
It's very casual. It's a bunch of Mississippi hippies and stoners. The median age is 60 something. Jordan and I bring the age down a lot.
How's your game?
But bad. Like I said, 1 month, once a month is just long enough to never get better. And then we've been missing here and there, so I don't know. So you're still basically, no matter how long you miss, you're coming in fresh.
Yeah. We used to do it in high school, Tuesday nights.
Cool.
A lot of homework exchanges happening at the Bolero Bowl, I'm going to say. A lot of things going on in the parking lot, but there were also some really good bowlers.
Yeah, man.
Some guys bowled in the 250s. I don't know if we ever had a 300, but I knew a couple of dudes who were always over 200. I think I bowled a 180 one time.
If you see, it's when people start getting into that territory where they can hit a turkey.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
People had their own balls, their own shoes. Pretty serious. Milwaukee was the home of the U.S. Bowling Congress, which is the governing body of bowling.
That rocks.
I think it has since moved to St. Louis, which is upsetting.
Politics,
but we had
man.
Politics, man. But the Bolero had like 80 lanes. Like Milwaukee's a big bowling town, so we would take over this Bolero on a Tuesday night, 9 p.m. It was great. It was really fun.
That tracks.
Yeah,
it is fun to see. Like, you know, there's like the blue collar dudes coming in, but right after work, because we go like at like I think it's 5. It's like 6 o'clock. Yeah. So and then you know these guys, some of them are just there to drink beer, but some of them come and they've got like the special like roller bag that's got their. It's like their looks like an airplane thing. Yeah. They got you got your shoes and your balls and like and they just it's funny because you think they might not be good because their scores, if they're just messing around, their scores will not be high because they're trying to perfect a shot that does something impressive, that really arcs and then smashes back in. But like half the time when they're just messing around to dial that in, they're missing, or they're not getting a high score because they're just trying to tweak.
Is anyone discussing the wax pattern on the lanes?
People joke about it, like, because they know that the wax. I don't think that they're re-waxing very frequently at this place.
This would always be a big thing, and the waxing at the Bolero was actually very good because they take it very seriously. But if you could tell, it was like worn down, and the ball will like bite more, and it's a big thing. This whole waxing in the lanes. There was like a restaurant called Punch Bowl Social, and I think it took over the Midwest like 10 years ago, and they put bowling alleys inside of a bar. It's like for hipsters, and it was kind of cool, but they didn't wax the lanes at all. You like couldn't spin the ball because they just gripped and rolled right off the side. So, there was not a lot of good bowling happening at the Punch Bowl Social because they weren't waxing.
Right.
But
it's something to do.
I threw my arm out trying to spin it. You do that thing with your elbow and like you try to whatever, and I don't have like good arms.
Well, here's something I learned is that most pro bowlers now don't even use the finger holes.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. No, I would get there. You just hold it and then it's like a full rotation, but you got to have, you got to have some hand there to do that. I wouldn't use the thumb. I did the 2 fingers and then I cocked it to the side really hard to get more spin. Yeah. But you also need to be able to throw like if you're throwing anything less than like a 12-pound ball, you really can't like do what you got to do.
Right.
It's not enough mass to bang through everything. Yeah.
So
but anyway, I needed to get in the gym. It never happened.
We're all messing around. Very frequently some of the people on the upper end of the spectrum are like, "Oh, I'm just there to drink beer this week because they've not, I don't know, their knee or their elbow or whatever."
Yeah.
There's some 7-year-olds.
It's a good sport for large men. There were always some big men at the end of the alley, like by themselves, just like belting away the strikes, just like one after the other, and they'd have the rag in the one hand and they would just kind of waddle up, strike back, waddle up. And they're banging out a lot of strikes. So anyway, bowling, there you go.
We're not bowling alone. We're trying to, what is that?
That's right. We're Robert Putnam.
Yeah, that's right. We're bucking the trend.
I never read it, but I understand the premise because I listened to him.
Social fabric, America.
Right. Supper clubs and what have yous. Yeah. No one goes to church, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So, yeah. No, I mean, it occurs to me to like go to a church just to like, have something to do with other people, even though I'm maybe not.
Go to Unitarian church. That's what I do. Don't have to believe in anything.
It's amazing. Yeah.
A lot of lapsed Catholics there.
That's what it is, right? Largest denomination in America is lapsed Catholics, I think.
Well, and then a lot of them become Unitarians, like especially in our case, because you saw Spotlight, right?
Spotlight.
What?
Spotlight. It's my Michael Keaton impression. Spotlight.
Is Michael Keaton in that movie?
Isn't he the main guy?
I don't know.
I think he is. Yeah,
he might.
I think I'm right on this.
Anyways, all that stuff, that was my high school. We've been over this, but all that, that was all. So with that, my family was like, we got to freaking, and this even before I went to BCI. So they sent me to Catholic school knowing that there was statistically probably still some fuckery going around there, but whatever. It's family tradition. But that we had jumped ship by the time I was in like second or third grade, because one of the local parishes that I went to also had a priest there.
Yeah. Oh, Milwaukee had they didn't make a movie about it, but you could have. Yeah.
I'm sure. So we became Unitarians like a lot of people.
Oh, right on.
A lot of
Carly's Methodist, but the priest is or the whatever, the shaman, the holy man. He's a former Catholic, and he wears a baseball hat. He baptized our children in a river in a baseball hat. It was very cool. I wasn't sure if it counted, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. There were deer nearby, so that was cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, those Catholics aren't playing around it. I tried to get a Catholic priest to marry us, and they were like, is she Catholic? And I was like, well, no. And she, is she going to convert? I'm like, I don't know if you've read the papers, but the answer was no. And they were like, all right, well, we'll come, but no, we can't do it. So yeah. There you go. Anyway, Catholicism. Great.
Yep.
Cool. I went to Scotland as well.
Right. How was it? How was were you golfing?
Soccer, and I golfed and I soccered.
Cool.
It was lovely. Yeah, it was very fun. Yeah.
Have you ever seen this speed golf guy on Twitter?
No, what's this speed golf
he goes
guy?
crazy. He's a top 5 speed golf player, long hair, crazy beard, and he makes these videos about about body mechanics where he's just screaming the entire time.
Yeah.
The entire time. And I've never played golf, never cared, but he's kind of funny, just the energy he brings. I guess he
just plays fast. I don't even know what speed golf is. You just play
fast. Speed golf is there's a combination of the scoring is like your time. There's no golf carts. You're running.
Oh wow.
So he talks about your heart rate is at 100 the entire time as you're just sort of running, and so it's all like speed golf.
Adding athleticism to golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's anyways, I'll send you a link. He's a funny guy. I think he's been to Scotland recently, but cool.
Right. Cool. Yep. Anyway, all right, should we jump into the things?
Yeah.
Let's jump into the things. Okay. Wait, so we have a full lineup here, but we just got good news. And I think we should talk about the good news first, which is this person, Elizabeth Zirkov. Am I saying that right?
Zirkov.
Yeah, released by an Iran-backed militia in Iraq. Now, this is a person that I used to follow on social media when we were doing serious stuff. She seemed incredibly intelligent, and her analysis was always really great. But you knew this person? You know this person?
Yeah, some of the people I worked with were friends with her. She was a foodie, and we went out to dinner a couple of times in DC. But yeah, she was really big on Twitter during the Arab Spring, and as an Israeli, she used Twitter to talk to all these activists all over the world that she normally wouldn't have access to, and then sort of use that to build up sort of an analyst pedigree. And anyway, she's really, really nice, really compassionate, and it's been insane how long she's been. There was one video that came out of her proof of life in the time of her captivity.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when it happened because Dan knew her, and he was in New York, and we were talking. He had just met with her a month before she went to Iraq.
Yeah.
And I think it happened pretty quick once she got to Iraq.
And Biff knows her as well, I think. So a lot of our friends, she was she's a Syria scholar, Mideast scholar. She was doing a PhD. She had a lot
Princeton
of connections
PhD.
with her. Yeah. Yeah. So this is great news.
It is great news, and we have to give credit. It does seem that somehow the U.S. government, in concert with the Iraqi government, got Elizabeth delivered to the American embassy in Baghdad, and that is very good news. So
But on the other, they do one thing in the same breath, in the same day, they pulled that shit with the Hamas negotiators.
Yep. All right, we'll get to Hamas negotiators. They're down my list here. Oh no, it's actually the top. Great. Okay, Israel attacks Qatar today. So Israel bombed the what was it? Like people were saying it's a hotel, but it's like a low slung building in Doha. Got bombed. Was it a missile? Was it fired from an aircraft? I'm not sure. But it was on Qatari soil. And what's crazy about it is the Hamas delegation was, at the time, they had gathered in Doha to go over the Trump proposal to end the war. So Trump had sent through this proposal. And the proposal, this was from the David Ignatius article, talking about it. An Arab source described the chain of events. Qatar's prime minister, Sheikh Mohammed, had met with Hamas representatives on Monday to share a proposal that Trump envoy Steve Witkoff delivered last week in Paris. The Hamas representatives, including some who had just arrived from Turkey, decided to meet again on Tuesday to discuss the proposal. Israel, presumably knowing the group had gathered in Doha, chose to attack. So you have a peace proposal to end a war as a pretext or as a way to centralize the Hamas leadership, which you then attack in Qatar, on Qatar soil. Just shocking. Yep. So there you go. The proposal, here you go. On day one, Hamas would release 48 hostages, 20 alive and 28 corpses. Israel would withdraw from all of Gaza, begin to release 1,000 Palestinians. And then on day two, Trump would personally take charge of negotiations for a political transition and reconstruction in Gaza. So I'm just not sure that Netanyahu actually wants any of this. Would seem like he doesn't. So I think they said they framed it as there was that attack on Sunday in Jerusalem, and they said it was in response to that.
Oh, sure.
But that does seem hasty, quickly thrown together. But yeah, there you go.
Did we pull something like this during the JCPOA? I guess that would have been under Obama, or when we're pulling out of it. Where did we do anything?
I think there was something more recently. I think wasn't there something in June?
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw something. There was something similar to this. I think in June around progress around Iranian nuclear program stuff, and then the attack on the various sites with the B-2s happened like shortly thereafter. I think I saw that. So anyway, I can't imagine a ton of people are going to want to negotiate with
pretty bad
Israel or us. Yeah, can't be. When people are skeptical of the United States, you're going to really have a hard time, dissuading them of that. So yeah, there you go.
I have no idea what Qatar is like, kind of hamstrung here, I guess, right?
Yes,
seemingly violating their sovereignty in such a flagrant way would piss them off, but they're so as my impression, or as I understand it, they're pretty comfortable with the Trump.
They said they're reserving the right to retaliate.
They're holding it on reserve. Okay.
And then Donnie said, Carolyn Levitt said that Donnie said that he did not approve of it, and that they notified the Qataris 10 minutes after it happened that it was going to happen, even though they're saying that they knew.
Oh, okay.
So 10 minutes after it happened, but they did know. They were informed. Were they informed? Seems like 10 minutes after makes me think maybe they weren't informed. But that was the story from Carolyn Levitt here in the White House. I got the clip, but
who is that for? Like, who is tracking this stuff that closely, but is so fucking credulous that they would buy that, right?
That's the thing. I've been thinking about that a lot. I think they just need something to say.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you just need something. It doesn't have to be right. There just has to be a rebuttal.
You have to say something at the press conference, I guess.
I'm reading this book. I'm getting into the Fort Bragg cartel, which is fascinating. But I'm also reading this book it's like this MIT series of books on a variety of like interesting topics. They're just like primers, kind of like those introduction to Confucius books or whatever that you see at bookstores.
Yeah, for dummies.
It's similar, very similar. So it's like post-truth for dummies. And it's all about talking about post-truth and talking about how when people have been misinformed and then they're presented with the correct information, there's this whole study and how people actually, when they're given the correct information, they have a tendency to believe the incorrect information more strongly than before. So, it's this whole thing where like, will the truth persuade people? I'm not sure the truth will persuade people, particularly when it flies in the face of everything they've been saying and thinking for years at this point.
This is interesting. That kind of ties into the GEC stuff, which I guess we'll get to later.
What's the GEC stuff?
The global engagement center.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Which I worked on.
Oh really? Okay, great. Then you're gonna have a lot to say about that because I don't really know what that is, but I did.
Carlo, you good buddies with what's his name? Carlos, who's that State Department official who was such a
the Jordan guy.
Yeah, I think you had met him. What was his last name? It was Carlos.
I don't remember.
He was there for a while. He was like, I think, a big booster for that whole.
He was a GEC guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So there you go. There's the latest in American foreign policy. You float a peace proposal, and then you use it as a trap. And then it turns out they didn't get, there were all these tweets on social media. Because, there's always, when you can tell when things are going badly, it feels like for the administration, Twitter becomes slightly more toxic. It seems like Elon dials up the dials a little bit. There's a lot of crime right now on Twitter because I have a blank Twitter right now because I deleted all my accounts like years ago. And then I now have a new one and it's for the Smoke and Hat account. So I just get the For You page, which is like raw. And the raw stuff right now, like some weeks it's chill, like in January and February, and it really calmed down. Last summer, it was a total madhouse. Everything's on fire, border videos all the time, yada, yada, yada. January and February, it was calm. And then now it's like all UK violence against immigrants and then like fights and crime from the United States. It's just like all of and then like random videos of some. Have you ever seen these where they show you like how a Chinese factory makes like a crayon?
Yeah.
With like the technology from like 1978. And it's like, here's how a crayon is made with like a really like dirty looking factory. And then like some guy covered in soot is like pulling the crayons out of the thing. You're just like, this is kind of interesting. It's very weird. But anyway, it feels like the dials have been cranked up to Toxic Town on Twitter right now, at least on the For You page. But I guess that's kind of a reflection of like what I slowed down on too, I think. I don't really know how that works, but anyway, okay. The next thing was the big rebrand of the Department of Defense. Did you see this? We're back to the Department of War.
Oh yeah. That's just fantastic. It's going to cost so much money to fucking change a bunch of signs that will just get changed back.
It's going to be tremendous. All right, let's hear from Donnie.
And so, Pete, you started up by saying the Department of Defense, and somehow it didn't sound good to me. It didn't sound good. Defense, what are we defense? Why are we defense? So it used to be called the Department of War.
What are we defense?
It had a stronger sound. And as you know, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything. Now we have a Department of Defense with defenders. I don't know. If you people want to, standing behind me, if you take a little vote, if you want to change it back to what it was when we used to win wars all the time, that's okay with me. All right?
That's coming.
You let me know if you want to do it. I think Department of War. It just sounded bad. He said, sir, on behalf of the Department of Defense. Defense. I don't want to be defense only. We want defense, but we want offense too, if that's okay. So you'll make a decision. But, and so, Pete.
So there you go. Just leaving it to the people behind him. He loves doing that. It's like, this isn't my decision, but if you guys want to do it, I think it's a great idea. It happens. There's an old George Carlin bit. It's where I'm a little divided on this, where George Carlin at the end of his career, right, is like very politically fired up. And he's going on about how everything is a euphemism now.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how shell shock was what they used to call post-traumatic stress disorder.
This is the one where he says like Israeli, Israeli soldiers and Israeli commandos and Palestinian terrorists.
Right. And I think there is a Department of Defense versus Department of War bit in there. And I remember thinking when I was like 17 or 16, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, man, totally.
It's one what? Imperial ambitions.
Right. And we were invading Iraq and doing all of our Iraqi things at that time. And, at that point I was like, it's not a bad observation that it isn't really involved in defense at the moment. It seems like it's more outwardly focused. But I can't imagine that Donnie's intentions are about transparency and clarity on this one. But okay, so let's see what this is all going to do. So they make this announcement. We get, here you go. Pentagon officials react with frustration and confusion. There's some good clips in here. Okay. Many express frustration, anger, and downright confusion at the effort, which could cost billions of dollars for a cosmetic change that would do little to tackle the military's most pressing challenges, such as countering a more aggressive alliance of authoritarian nations. The orders are still vague. They may need to change the Department of Defense seals on more than 700,000 facilities in 40 countries in all 50 states. Everything from letterhead for 6 military branches and dozens more agencies down to embossed napkins and chow halls, embroidered jackets for Senate-confirmed officials, and the keychains and tchotchkes in the Pentagon store. And then it's tedious. Here you go. It took the Department of Defense weeks to scrub agency websites that contained references to DEI after the Trump administration demanded be removed. That was just taking down photos. The seal will have to change, and thus anything with it. Changes bound to flummox universities who rely on the Department of Defense for funding, pose a huge messaging challenge. It would mean having to rebrand a mountain of contracting, marketing, business development materials, you name it, both digital and otherwise, that cite the Department of Defense or DOT. More strategically or philosophically, it could raise new questions about what it means to be supporting the Department of War. It likely sends a more belligerent message to our allies and adversaries alike.
So does Doge still exist?
It's a great question. It's a great question. Donnie, somebody asked Donnie about this, and he said, well, it's not like we're going to change the stationery right away. We can use up the stationery we have, and then we'll move on to the next. So the first thing that comes to mind is just like he's thinking notepads. Like the immediate thing that jumps in his head is like notepads, which is just the best. Okay, here was our announcement. Here's our announcement from Donnie. The Department of War, red letters. There you go. America first, peace through strength. And then what else did we have here? Taking down the sign. Okay, then our pal Pete Hegseth. Here we go. We're taking down the signs.
A formal name change would have to be approved by Congress. According to a White House fact sheet obtained by CBS News, the Trump administration argues that the term Department of War conveys a stronger message of readiness and resolve and reflects its unmatched power as the strongest and most lethal fighting force.
Those are just glued on there, huh? I guess I always thought, I don't know. Just didn't think that was glue. That N looks like it's wrong, right? That N looks incorrect.
Yeah.
It feels like it's upside down. Right?
It looks like a Z on its side.
Really. It looks like a Z.
It's a very wide N.
We got an extra Z line around. We'll use it for the last N. These poor enlisted men have to go on TV and scrape off the letters in front of everybody. Okay, taking down the sign. Great, which brings us to Donnie's tweet about Chicago. Apocalypse now. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago is about to find out why it's called the Department of War. So a lot of questions on this one. Is ICE DOD?
I don't
or
think
Department of War?
No, ICE is under DHS.
There you go. Okay. So it's not even, it wouldn't even be that. I guess they can call in the National Guard, right? Is what they're thinking. But this is just another one of those situations like Born in the USA, right? The point of Apocalypse Now is not that Kilgore, the Robert Duvall character, is good. right? He's supposed to like contrast the insanity of the war with like his fixation on surfing and his, sort of bizarre and brutal nature. But they're going to take it and put, you don't want to be Kilgore, although, I mean, he's definitely a compelling character in the film. But there's Donnie looking lean and mean. And then did you see who is the woman from the senator?
Tammy Duckworth.
Tammy Duckworth was the thing that bothered her about this was that
wearing a cavalry hat.
He's wearing a cavalry hat, and that he wasn't in the cavalry. This is a video of helicopters and fire in the city of Chicago, and she is making it a stolen valor issue. Just not sure we're gonna win the messaging here. But there you go. So Donnie Shy, Apocalypse Now. What'd you think of Apocalypse Now?
Great movie. Seen it a lot of times.
So have I. It was like a very influential movie for me when I was in high school. It like shocked me, and I feel like it pulled me in a certain direction with the way I look at the world. Have you ever watched the full director's cut? It's like 3.5 hours.
I think so.
It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
I think about how I used to watch that stuff when I was like 16 and 17. I'm like, that was crazy. I would like watch that.
And you had like never read Heart of Darkness.
Yeah. I had never read Heart of Darkness, and then I read Heart of Darkness, and Apocalypse Now is so much more upsetting than Heart of Darkness is. Heart of Darkness is like it's quick. It's like 100 pages, and there's like some allusions to the madness, but nothing like what happens to Martin Sheen going up the river.
Well, then there's what's the spoof movie?
Tropic Thunder.
No, well, Tropic Thunder's I also probably saw Tropic Thunder without realizing it was about the making of.
The one about the making of it?
No. I'm talking about Hot Shots Part Deuce.
Okay. It was literally the next movie I was going to go to. So very good. I love Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. The part where they're all in the fighter jets and they're figuring out that they're all from Eagle River, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You're from Eagle River? Eagle River. It's the best. But no, does Hot Shots Part 2 focus on Apocalypse Now? I don't know that I remember.
There's a scene where they're both writing. What starts off with Charlie Sheen writing a letter, like a journal entry where his thoughts go out loud, and then he passes another PT boat with Martin Sheen.
Oh, I do remember that. And what do they say?
Doing the same thing. He says like, "I loved you in Wall Street" to Martin Sheen.
They both say it to each other, right?
Yeah.
I loved you. That's so good. Oh my gosh, Hot Shots Part 2, fantastic. Have you seen the documentary though? What's the documentary called? Is it Heart of Darkness? Hang on. Making Apocalypse Now. It's like very famous. And then that line from Heart of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse. Is that what it is? Darkest period. But that's that line from what's the movie about MIT, Matt Damon? It's not Truman Show. I don't know. Is it Truman Show? He's a genius. He's a janitor.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. And then when Casey Affleck says, "I swallowed a bug at the bar," apparently that's from the documentary. Because I listened to a podcast about it one time. But I have not seen the documentary, which I should. Okay, wait. Tropic Thunder follow-up. Tropic Thunder I thought was spoofing Apocalypse Now, but Tropic Thunder is a almost beat for beat ripoff of the movie Three Amigos. You ever seen Three Amigos with Steve Martin, Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
And they don't realize that they're actually involved in a kidnapping. They think they're down there as actors from the show, so they keep doing the show and they're scaring off the Mexican gangs. And then the first scene, they're trying to shoot him, but he's dancing so good that they can't shoot him, so he doesn't realize they're actually shooting bullets. I rewatched Three Amigos a year ago, and I'm like, this is Tropic Thunder. Absolutely, beat for beat.
Yeah, they transferred it to the. I mean, I guess the Apocalypse Now became its own trope of the way over budget, hilariously bloated, mismanaged,
decadent
Hollywood movie about America, with interest from the American defense industry.
Yeah.
Because that also shows up in. Have you ever read or seen the Informer about the? It's a really good book. No, The Sympathizer. Sorry, The Sympathizer.
Oh, okay. I have read The Sympathizer.
Yeah,
there was a movie, right, or a show?
It was a short series that had again, interestingly, I guess Robert Downey Jr. played 3 different white. He was basically all the main white characters in the show.
Okay.
Which he really likes doing this schizophrenic acting stuff.
Wait, so Robert in The Sympathizer, Robert Downey Jr. was 3 different white actors.
He plays 3 different white guys. He plays the CIA, the handler. He plays the movie director, because there's also a bit where like they're making a movie about the Vietnam War with all these like Vietnamese refugees in the U.S.
Okay.
And then he's the congressman. Like the gung ho, like let's go back to Vietnam congressman.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I got to see it.
Yeah, he had a little.
I enjoyed the book.
It's a great book. Yeah.
I then heard an interview with the author, which I think is pronounced Viet Thanh Nguyen, I think. And he had been offered he's a professor at USC, and he was talking about how difficult it was to get a tenured literature professorship, whatever the word is. And he had mentioned that he had interviewed at Notre Dame and how he was so lucky that he didn't get stuck. I forget. He said something like very unflattering about the students and how maybe a lack of curiosity and how being stuck in Indiana like may have crushed him. And then he went to USC and is like thriving as an author. But anyway, I really enjoyed the book, so I don't hold that against him. It's pretty grim there in the winter. But yeah, I heard somebody say the book was like far too complicated. Somebody who's like very literary told me they didn't like it.
Oh,
and then
I don't
when
think
people
so.
say that, I don't trust myself enough to like push back. But I was like, I liked it, but I don't know that I could rebut what they were saying.
No, it's not like Finnegan's Wake. It's like, there's some narrative devices. It's confusing, but that's kind of the whole point, is the narrator is confused. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it jumps around. I mean, I think it jumps around. I didn't find it all that complicated. But
I'm like, I followed it, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Okay. So anyway, Shy Apocalypse Now. What did Donnie say? Somebody yelled at him about
He's
this.
completely devoid of any context. Like, it's all about just like images. It doesn't even matter what the fucking it looks cool. Don't think anything more about any of it. Just
their willingness to use AI constantly on official government channels is like astonishing.
Yeah.
Like you think about probably the care and how boring Biden's social media presence was, and like in hindsight, it's probably a mistake. Right. But their willingness to just like embrace all of the memes and all of the videos and using AI all the time to put Donnie in all these different situations is like, yeah, it's definitely something new going on here. All right. Next one is the SEAL Team 6 mission into North Korea. Did you read this one?
Where
can give you the rundown. Yeah, so 2019, I guess we invaded North Korea briefly.
Invaded is generous for thinking you got spotted shooting.
It doesn't seem. Did they get
divers,
to the beach, or did they get into the shallow water? That's the
I
question.
don't know. Yeah, in international waters, but they shot a bunch of guys in a boat and then dragged their bodies out to sea and
punctured their lungs so that they would sink, and then sped away. And then I'm trying to remember the reason for why they didn't clear it. Like one of the submarines was facing the wrong way. They had to rush. And I forget, they couldn't put drones overhead. So they had to use satellite imagery to detect what the regular, night water situation was. What are you putting on like a mile onto shore? I just don't know anything. So is there something? It feels like a video game. Like if we get onto a mile onto the shore and we put this thing in,
then we'll be able to listen in.
It will dramatically alter our ability to monitor the North Korean nuclear program. And this gets into our Delta Force, our Fort Bragg cartel stuff, but I want to save that for when I finish the book.
Sure.
But yeah, I am blown away by how little I understood of what Delta Force is and what they can do and where they operate. I think I greatly underestimated what they are up to.
Well, and also where they fit, like the echelons, because they're in my brain, it's all just special forces, but there's like within that community, it's like highly tiered. And
I feel like in Black Hawk Down, the SEALs make fun of the Delta Force, or Delta Force made fun of the SEALs, and I think I internalized that like Delta Force wasn't the good one. And I think they talk about that in the book, how like the SEALs got all the credit. They did do the
Abbottabad
Bin Laden mission because McRaven was a SEAL.
But I think Delta Force is older,
and then it seems like,
and then the Navy wanted their own response to it or something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah, we'll get into that. I think we should do like a full ep on the Fort Bragg cartel, because there's like a million things to talk about in there. Okay, If the SEALs were unsure whether the mission had been compromised before they fired, they had no doubt afterwards. The plan required the SEALs to abort immediately if they encountered anyone. There was no time to plant the device. The shore team swam to the boat, made sure all the North Koreans were dead. They found no guns or uniforms. Evidence suggested that the crew, which people briefed on the mission, said number 2 or 3 people had been civilians diving for shellfish. All were dead, including the man in the water. Okay.
Fucking tragic waste just to be like, a statistical error in some plot that was never going to do anything to begin with, even if it had succeeded.
And then to not even have it known that it happened. I mean, you wonder what in North Korea those people were told about what happened. Because I'm sure they didn't. It's at the end of the article, they do talk about how like a huge military presence surged to the area right after they left. So they definitely knew somehow, sensors or whatever, figured out that something had happened. Okay. Here is the GEC. U.S. ends international push to combat fake news from hostile states. The United States has withdrawn from international agreements aimed at countering disinformation campaigns orchestrated by nations such as Russia, China, and Iran. The agreements were conducted through the Global Engagement Center, a State Department agency initiated in 2011 to combat terrorist propaganda and state-sponsored disinformation. They had memoranda of understanding with 22 European and African countries. In 2024, funding for the GEC was eliminated by Congress. Its residual functions were transferred to an office within the State Department, which was closed in 2025. Critics are concerned. James Rubin described the move as a unilateral act of disarmament. Okay. Now, so I'm reading this. I'm going, well, this seems bad. I'm on Twitter. I see quite a bit of, formal state disinformation coming from us, coming from others. Here's who they got to quote. Darren Beattie, he says, far from spiking a single plan, we were proud to spike the entire GEC, said Darren Beattie, acting Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy at the State Department. Not only was GEC's infamous censorship activity profoundly misaligned with the administration's pro-free speech position, it was woefully and embarrassingly ineffective on its own terms, Beattie said. Okay, so we knew people who were involved with this at some point.
I worked on a GEC contract for Navanti.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is not really news. The GEC got its funding cut in 2024, and then this is like whatever skeleton.
The formal kill shot.
They pulled. It's not even like that. It's they pulled out of whatever agreements that the skeleton ghost of the GEC still had. Yeah, it's like this is not even close to new. I mean, really, news.
It seems like a lot of stuff was written about it in 2024, in June, and also in 2024.
April this year, I guess. Anyways, you met Alberto Fernandez. The GEC has been through a bunch of different transformations. It was like really a hot button. It was like buzzword for a while. It was the global, what was it before? GSCC. But Alberto Fernandez, who you met with in Jordan, was the guy there doing the public diplomacy stuff. It used to be the strategic counterterrorism communications. Coordinator for strategic counterterrorism communications became.
Look at you.
GEC. Well, looking at his Wikipedia, look at his page. Okay. I sent you in the chat. He's got that's a bureaucrat face.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He's like the Cuban diplomat guy.
Okay. Oh, hang on, private chat.
You got to bring up his face, man.
Let's bring it up. This guy. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
No, not. Wait, why are you getting a different picture than what I got?
Oh, interesting.
I've got like a way older picture of him on my Wikipedia.
Really?
Yeah, that's a lot funnier.
Differing Alberto Fernandez. I mean, this could be a lot of, some gold leaf here. His official portrait 2021.
No, you're looking at the president of Argentina.
That's what you sent me. I clicked on the link.
No, mine says diplomat.
Okay, well, let's go to this. A lot of Alberto Fernandez's. Here we go.
U.S. official. Yeah.
There we go. I do remember this person. Okay.
Anyways, he was like the guy at the start of the pre-runner to the GEC. I don't so what I did, there was a big contract about combating Iranian disinformation, and we did a bunch of surveys in like areas the State Department was worried about Iranian influence, so Lebanon, Iraq, Syria. We did a bunch of like media consumption surveys, and we're researching about how people receive Iranian disinformation. This was all around like when Qasem Soleimani got killed, because I remember that became a major focal point of the research. But it's just like, it's so hard. Like the point of the GEC is to like, through a bureaucratic institution, counter what just like the Wild West bad actors of whoever create like, it's way easier to create disinformation than it is to counter it. We were never going to do
a lie gets around the world before the truth has time to get its shoes on. Mark Twain. Thank you very much.
I don't think we were doing a very good job of like,
Do you think that's even, do you think the premise is even like possible? I mean, I know it's all anyone talks about, but it feels like Gavin Newsom just flooding the zone with his own insanity is like somewhat of an alternative to like,
that's what it is.
If I give you facts, you will change your mind. I haven't seen any evidence that actually works.
Yeah, I mean,
in a general sense,
you can like slice and dice all these audiences all you want and try and come up with target audiences for who's like maybe who is on the cusp and who could be influenced one way or the other, and like I don't know, but does that even matter if that amounts to like some single digit percentage of a population? And like if everybody anybody whose grandparent who's from a Shiite community is going to, no matter what, believe something the negative.
Well, it's like, it's similar to the, like, what was the Middle Eastern television network that the State Department spun up in Iraq? El Hora, is that right?
Yeah.
And it, like, all the surveys was like less. Yeah, I think it did get shut down. Like less than 1%.
The guy from nobody watched that, but
nobody watched it.
It was so funny because one of the guys at YNEP, the Washington Institute for Nearest Policy, the APAC think tank thing, which I briefly interned at worked for. I got their money for a little bit. Hated it. Robert Satloff hosted a show, Dakhil Washington.
What was it? Dakhil Washington?
Inside Washington, where he would butcher through his like middling Arabic for like 30 minutes to talk about like stuff happening in Washington.
We got it in Jordan on our Nilesat Firebird whatever satellite, and I definitely watched it a couple times and was like, it wasn't compelling at all, when you had all the alternatives floating around for free on those Middle Eastern satellite channels. And I think I saw a survey I did at some point, like a thesis, or I don't know, I wrote some long paper about the efficacy of that in a couple of other programs, and like they were just, the viewership on them was nothing.
Yeah. What is, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Robert Satloff's Twitter. What world do these people live in? Was Israel's attack on Hamas and Qatar clearly coordinated with USG crazy, or crazy like a fox? This could be dramatic opportunity for POTUS to shake up the Gaza war, urge Netanyahu to declare victory, and pivot towards a ceasefire in day after stretch. In what world does the U.S. bomb the negotiators, and you're like, was this a good way? Like, this is only in think tank world. Are you like, okay, this is a perfect opening for the U.S. to like exercise leverage on its negotiating the Hamas negotiating partners.
There is a thing of trying to rationalize everything that you see and work it into some, rather than people just acting on impulse or like pursuing their own objectives that are not the ones that you have identified, and then just pigeonholing it in. And then you work in a think tank, so you have to post, right?
Yeah.
You have to put an article out. You got to do it. And you're going to jam something in there because the answer can't be that Netanyahu has just completely lost his mind.
Right.
And that this is like a war crime and just a violation of sovereign territory, an act of war. It's a million things. It can't be that. It has to be, it's 5D chess, which it's not. It is not 5D chess, right? They didn't even get the guys, as it turns out, right? They got the son and they got a couple of lower level people. They didn't get who they were trying to get. So
anyway, God.
Okay.
Think tanks are just toxic. So GEC's a waste of money. Think tanks are a waste of money. I have no idea what GEC was still doing. I mean, just sort of like, but there's no way they were gonna, you can't fight fire with bureaucratic lukewarm water.
Right, it's the only weapon you have. Right, is like our only mechanism for solving these problems is via think tank. I was talking about this last week. The Great Trust plan for Gaza. After the day after Hamas that they're sharing around and that Kushner was in some meeting with last week, and the whole thing is like give tokens on the blockchain worth $5,000 to all the Palestinians who leave Gaza that they can then redeem in the new housing units they're going to build, and they have the Trump resorts laid out, and then they're going to build Tesla gigafactories that will be protected by private military contractors in the Gaza Strip. And then the Saudis are going to build high-speed rail to transfer all that stuff to their ports and then through Yemen. It's like this incredibly bizarre document. But it's like, what do we do after Gaza? Oh, let's ask the Boston Consulting Group. And then you get this incredibly bizarre, insane PowerPoint on ethnic cleansing. It's like, how would you conceptualize ethnic cleansing? I'd hire a consultant and have them whip up a slide deck.
It's this echo chamber effect is so funny. It's like, do you watch that the most recent episode or I guess one of the episodes of South Park where Stan Marsh keeps asking AI about business plans, and it just tells him like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And it just like yeses him to death. And
it was very similar to what I do all day. It was frightening
until it spins out of control.
Yeah. When he's sitting on the front porch on ketamine, and his wife starts impersonating ChatGPT. Oh, it was brilliant.
But it's like, nothing is a bad idea. It's just the worst impulse AI fever dream that exists in this echo chamber.
And if you're a consultant, you'll whip up a slide deck for ethnic cleansing, and if you work at a think tank, you're going to jam together some rationalization for like a war crime. Or an act of war, and we're going to spin it in a certain way. Okay, so the GEC, maybe not breaking news, but this Darren Beattie fella, who is our Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy, I was curious because he was the only one they got a quote from. Darren Beattie, right here. The Trump official who shut down the counter-Russia agency has links to the Kremlin.
Sure.
Okay, here you go.
Because GEC did a lot of its work it was Iran and Russia primarily, as far as I know.
Okay.
I don't know if they also cared about China, but like the other side, I didn't work on Russia stuff because it was not my zone, but
totally. So Darren Beattie, who's quoting the article, reports surfaced that Beattie is married to Yulia Kirilova, a Russian national. Her uncle, Sergei Chernikov, had previously received a thank you letter from Vladimir Putin. Now it is tied to suggestions of Kremlin influence. This uncle, I think, was made like the governor of Siberia or something by Putin. So Darren Beattie's in-laws are tight with Putin. There's a photo of the father-in-law with his hands covered in oil, like holding them up to the camera. I didn't really dig in on why, but it was sort of there will be blood type photo of this man, Sergei Chernikov. Okay, why it matters. Global Engagement Center was exposed. Okay, so he has some Russian influence. That's certainly something. But more than that, Mr. Beattie wrote, okay, here you go. In the years before joining the government, Mr. Beattie wrote social media posts suggesting Western institutions should be infiltrated by Putin, who he also attacked what he described as the globalist American empire. Donald Trump, under pressure from many in his party, took a tougher stance on the Russian leader. Many of Mr. Beattie's social media posts also concerned China, repeatedly calling on the U.S. to surrender Taiwan to Beijing, labeling Britain a poor and pathetic kingdom that would be far better off under Chinese dominion. The rise of non-woke China and anti-woke Russia, competitors to the globalist American empire, is not a bad thing, he wrote in October 2021. This is our Undersecretary from Public Diplomacy. It gets better. He also said he looked forward to its prestige and power collapsing on the world stage, and claimed that its position, talking about America in the global order, is rapidly deteriorating. Okay, now, as you can imagine, Darren Beattie has been on the War Room with Steve Bannon. But first, let's look at some of his tweets. Here you go. This is Darren Beattie, our Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy, just last year. Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. I don't know about you, but I don't think we've heard enough complaining from women and minorities. The entire purpose of this nation is to coddle the feelings of women and minorities. Agonizing to think of what could be possible if such undignified and lowbrowed nannyism were abandoned. That's just a start. There's more. Here's more.
I mean, that stuff's like acceptable in the Trumposphere, but like the overt like China Russia apologism seems like that that guy shouldn't be official.
Shouldn't be running counter a guy who looks forward to the rise of the anti-woke Russian empire.
I guess you do a really good job of public diplomacy if you're just like appoint your great shills of your greatest adversaries to run the public diplomacy.
They love me. Our adversaries love me. I'm such a good diplomat. Our adversaries love me. Here's him talking during the BLM here. Tim Scott needs to learn his place and take Anita MAGA. BLM must take Anita MAGA. Ibram Kendi needs to learn his place and take Anita MAGA. Cole James of Heritage must learn her natural place and take Anita MAGA. Again, our Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy. Here we are on Steve Bannon, the War Room. No, this is an MIT article also digging in on Beattie. When at State right now, he has like downloaded all communications or made all these requests. Somebody echoing the sentiment. I spent 40 years in the State Department. You don't collect names or demand email records. I've never heard of such a thing. Beattie is demanding names and email records. He's searching them to see if anyone has talked bad about him. He's demanding all those files. He spoke at a white nationalist conference. Former White House speechwriter Darren Beattie left the White House after K-File found he spoke at a conference attended by white nationalists. There you go. Here you go. This is Jonathan Greenblatt, who's,
did they have anything to say?
They did, which is shocking.
That's so brave of the ADL to.
I was going to say, he is saying globalist a lot, ADL, just keep an eye on it. It is downright shocking that the White House has appointed Darren Beattie, who once attended a white supremacist conference and participated in a panel discussion with Peter Brimilo to serve as a member of a commission specifically created to preserve the memory of Jewish victims of Nazi atrocities during the Holocaust. He spoke at a conference of the racist and extremist H.L. Mencken Club, where he participated in a discussion with Brimilo, the creator of the racist and anti-immigrant website VDare. He has no place in administration. It's outrageous. We urge the administration. This is our Undersecretary of
I get a little bit of schadenfreude every time the ADL is like, no, too far. Too
far, exactly right. Okay. Here he is. So another thing about Darren Beattie is when they did their hostile takeover of the United States Institute for Peace, which was like the government think tank, he was for a time their acting director. And here he is talking to Glenn Beck about that.
Peace is? I've never even heard of it.
Here we go.
U.S. Institute of Peace is? I've never even heard of it.
That is a fantastic question, and I'll try to give the abbreviated answer because I know we don't have several hours this time.
I know.
But U.S. Institute of Peace is one lesser known but quite important member of the NGO archipelago that was created in the 80s. It belongs to the same cohort as National Endowment for Democracy and some other.
Can we just pause on Glenn Beck's image here? What is happening?
I love the AI.
This is not,
I can't get on a horse.
This is not a real image of Glenn Beck riding a horse. And I've seen Glenn Beck. He's not, he's not the most athletic fella. It's not easy to ride a horse, but here he is, like the saloon. Glenn Beck at the saloon here. But okay, we'll continue with Beattie, our acting director of USIP.
Some other better known NGOs that really in the broad context of things and in kind of the sweep of things was created as a kind of reorganization of the government structure in the aftermath of the Church Pike committee hearings that exposed a lot of the dirty dealings of government agencies such as the CIA. And so sort of a broader response to that government-wide was to create this NGO layer of governance with an arm's distance, plausible deniability, a kind of chameleon character of not exactly being government, not exactly being private, in order to fulfill some of those more sensitive functions that had been exposed.
Promoting democracy, all these guys did was...
U.S. Institute of Peace is one of those NGOs that had a particular focus on conflict regions. But of course, as I think you suggested earlier, peace requires at the very least an asterisk because they're involved in a lot of things that conventionally, according to I think most American citizens would not think should belong as part of the portfolio of something calling itself an Institute of Peace.
But he's not gonna like
cuts off.
I know people have worked on minority peace post-conflict minority rapprochement in Iraq between Yazidi come on, be
very
specific.
complicated things. Yeah, very complicated things.
And
we
what
should
are
have
they
government
doing
expertise.
this? Was it the best use of taxpayer money? I don't know. Maybe not. They're taking a stab at it, but these people love to just say.
The thing with that is you can go program by program and question. It's like USAID, right? And you can find things that are whatever. But I think in the grand scheme of things, you hear about how many people are dying in Africa in the absence of USAID.
Yeah.
The combined whatever. Not that we need to discuss return on investment, but that does seem to be the
worry too.
Right. What are we getting back for it? I'm like, well, first of all, it's a minuscule part of the budget. And it's literally our forward face in the most challenging parts of the world. And yes, in many cases, maybe it's not as effective or there's overhead costs that you have a hard time, tolerating. But on the whole,
I can get it if you're Doge made a bunch of claims about how ridiculous stuff was. You could be like, this is a waste of government money. That's fine. That's one art. You could art. That's one level. But then to insinuate all these alternative nefarious schemes of these NGOs, what were they doing? What what is the nefarious thing? Promoting democracy? Do we not care about that? What?
Well, and then you increase the deficit by $3 trillion with the tax cuts, and they're not. This is not.
I'm just curious what they think these small NGOs, or groups that get making or receiving $100,000 grants or couple $1 million grants are doing. That's are doing at all with that amount of money. A and B. Doing that so nefarious,
right? Yeah, helping Yazidi women after an ISIS, invasion of their whole world. You may not be able to point at the exact benefit to the United States, but I think on the whole, the cumulative impact is actually massive.
if you're a tanky leftist, you can be like, all right, well, they're trying to promote democracy and overthrow governments in areas of the world that they shouldn't be involved. Yeah, well, he's saying it's a CIA front, but I'm like, but if you're on the right and you think that this is the good stuff that you should do, then what is the problem? You know, I don't.
Right. Well, and he's one. I mean, he's a pro-Russia guy. I mean, that's the thing is like we say he's on the right, but like he is.
That's where it gets
waiting
confusing.
for the decline of the United States.
Well, yeah, you're right. There's not these traditional spectrum labels don't work. Yeah, I guess if you're worried about like programming in Ukraine or these other places, then yeah, you don't like it because.
Right.
All right, I get it. I guess.
Here's Darren Beattie. We don't need to watch this. So he ran a website called Revolver News, which is, you know, some right-wing wild stuff. But this is a recent interview, August 22nd. And Don Jr., these eyes, man, we are in year 4 of this. I mean, you know, take your vitamins, man. I'm worried. Yeah. I don't want anything to happen to the son of our president. I hope he's doing okay. But
it'd be funny if Hunter Biden became his, sponsor in NA.
Describing the euphoric high of heroin to Andrew Callahan on the podcast.
Oh, that was such a good interview.
It was a fascinating interview. Okay, and then of course he has been on with Alex Jones. Sham Trump trials are Democrats' 2024 election strategy. This is him defending the January 6ers. We don't need to listen to it, but defending the January 6 people and calling them show trials. So there's Darren Beattie. So that's the guy who shepherded through the process of taking down our countering misinformation campaign. A man who has said that he looks forward to American prestige and power collapsing on the world stage, and noted that our power is rapidly deteriorating.
Yeah, great. I mean, that helps a lot.
Make America rapidly deteriorating again. Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, if you want to conduct diplomacy with Russia and China and great power competition, then just let the softy.
My uncle-in-law is the governor of Siberia. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. Okay. And then the last one I got for you, we'll get out of here with some JD Vance. Hang on, let me find it. JD Vance war crime. I guess I didn't save it, but
dude, the JD Vance portrayal in South Park is so good.
It's such a delight.
I laugh every time.
All right, here we go. JD Vance, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. Killing citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. JD Vance, I don't give a shit what you call it. And let me tell you, I was a guy who almost went to law school and I had aspirations. I doubt I would have gotten in. I took some practice LSATs, yada, yada, yada. Yale has the best international law program. I think it's like the best. And this is, they only take 100 people a year. JD Vance, famously a grad of Yale Law School, with the nuance you would expect with an expert in international law. I don't give a shit what you call it. It's our vice president. So, yep. Yeah, man. So just another week. We're doing it. Anything else we need to tackle here?
No, it's just funny to think about these boats. Like in 2019, the SEAL Team 6 was murdering a bunch of divers.
Oyster divers.
In, 2025 we're blowing up. I mean,
we have a naval strike group blowing up a skiff with 7 people on it, 2,100 miles from the coast of the United States. I just saw a thing with Rand Paul, and he was on Fox News.
Seems like if you know where that boat is, it's pretty easy to
You could interdict it. You could maybe board the boat and look for the drugs, and then do whatever the Coast Guard does when they find drug boats.
I bet those boys get all amped up and revved up. Yeah, man, give them.
Well, that's the thing is but where's the pushback going to come from if you're a bored Coast Guard man, coastie? You got some action all of a sudden, whoa, we're doing stuff that, maybe You know, you just wonder what the vibe is inside the military. Like, are people,
Yeah.
you know, you hope that like, oh, the discipline of the military and there are a few generals who, Milley and guys like that do have a sense of like what the military should do. But I think there's just less and less.
This is
of
not a Praetorian Guard.
Right. They were interviewing Rand Paul, and he said, "We did 2,100 miles." And then the Fox News person said, "Well, that boat is coming to the United States eventually." And Rand Paul was like, "Oh, you think people in the Caribbean don't do drugs?" And Rand Paul doing his libertarian, like, so we have to sink every drug boat in the whole world. That's the plan.
It's in the ocean. The ocean does.
It all connects. You can sail around the whole thing if you have a skiff with an outboard motor.
They're all coming to us.
People, skiffs all around the world are coming to America. It's a Neil Diamond song. Anyway, okay, dude. Anything else we need to cover?
No, I finally finished, or I've got 10 pages left in this book about the USS Shenandoah. I don't know why that came up.
Yes. No, we brought it up last time. Is it a thrilling read? Is it great?
It's kind of interesting. The guy is from Alaska, and he's really interested
in
the author. Yeah.
Okay.
And the fact that, it is a very interesting ship because it started with no crew. They had to sneak the ship out of the UK, which at the time,
like Glasgow.
They were hedging their bets on the Civil War, so they saw these Confederates building battleships and were kind of like, well, it's
I've read the Wikipedia. Okay, yeah.
Anyways, so it got out. They had no crew, and their crew ended up being mostly like guys who would, like, when they capture these ships, they'd be like, well, do you want to join? And they're like, sure. So they had like a extremely diverse multinational crew of this essentially Confederate pirate ship.
Okay.
And it circumnavigated the globe, which no ship did. It set a bunch of here's the thing is they went up, they sunk most of the boats in the Arctic, and then they were trying to avoid they found out the war was over. They kept getting these reports from boats, the war is over, but they're like, those are Yankee lies.
Yeah.
But then eventually they find some sympathizer boat captain who's like, no, it's really over, guys, definitely over. So like, well, shit. Yeah. So we're gonna put the cannons away and like
they go to the UK.
sneak back to England. But the thing is, they're trying to stay away from land to avoid being sighted. Sure. And they just like dead reckon their way. They did not see land between basically the Arctic Ocean and England, which is like apparently an unparalleled naval feat.
Wow.
To just sort of like, spend several months sailing. You don't see land. You're just kind of reckoning
the mother of invention right
with
there.
Your sextant and stuff.
Your sextant. There you are.
But now
astrolabe.
In the last 10 pages, it's looking bad because nobody's going to get paid because there's no Confederate government.
Oh, no. The Confederate currency not being honored.
Yeah. So, but it is funny because this boat pulled off a lot of interesting feats. Nobody died. They never killed anyone. Only one guy died on the boat.
So they sank the boats and just brought the men aboard?
Yeah, and this kept being a problem because they took over 1,000 prisoners. So they would sink the boats every once in a while. They would like parole a boat and be like, well, technically you owe us the value of this boat, but you can pay us back later, but like you can go. And they'd take a bunch of their prisoners and stick them on that boat and say like, go back to the US and then like pay up when you get back.
So they didn't kill the people.
Well, because they were all just whalers. They took a bunch of them on.
So when I read it, I was like, that is the most brutal way to die. You're whaling off of Japan.
No, they didn't kill anyone.
Okay, that's fascinating.
They just took them prisoner, and the captains would be pissed off, but they realized there was nothing they could do. But they sank a lot of oil.
That whale oil.
So yeah, really kind of interesting piece of history. And then the captain of this boat goes on to become like the superintendent of like the Chesapeake Oyster region, which had its own sort of like mini piracy battles between Virginia and Maryland's oyster boatmen.
Okay, good oysters in Virginia. That's good. I was reading a thing the other day. There is flesh-eating bacteria in a lot of Louisiana oysters, and 6 people have died from
Shit.
eating oysters in Baton Rouge, New Orleans.
Oh,
And it
wow.
kills you in like a day. Like you eat an oyster and like you're dead in a day.
Jesus.
And the oyster industry down in Louisiana is concerned about this. And I love oysters. So I'm a little concerned about
Well,
it.
I'm concerned because I'm in Mississippi, so our oysters are coming from, Alabama, Louisiana, the same. Woo. Yikes.
Do yours come from Pascagoula? That's a place, right?
Pascagoula? Sure could. Yeah, that's on the coast.
Yeah. There you go. So anyway, yeah, oysters. And then the other thing, Chesapeake Bay is full of jellyfish. Have you been in there?
Other people, I guess I have. I don't know. Been in the
I went
water.
paddle boarding in it, and I guess I shouldn't have. We rented paddle boards one time and went paddle boarding in the bay, and there was no one else doing it.
Yeah.
And then we got out there, and there were thousands of jellyfish everywhere. And it was like, don't fall off the boat. And then I heard that people on the bay have nets. They have inner tubes with nets like hanging below them, and you float with a net around you in the bay. That's like what people do, but we missed that memo. So it was very high stakes paddleboarding because you didn't want to fall in. It was very tense. I did fall in. I did not get stung, but like thousands of jellyfish. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that ecosystem's all messed up. The Chesapeake Bay cleanup effort, I seem to think, was a big undertaking.
Oh, is it done?
They're in DC. They're always talking about if like the Anacostia will be safe to swim in someday soon.
Okay.
It's getting better, I think, but yeah, I don't know if that's why there's so many jellyfish or whatever.
They're trying to clean New York Harbor with like 10 million oysters or something.
Yeah, I guess they filter, right?
They filter, and they say in 10 years, there's now like whales coming into New York Harbor and dolphin, which like haven't been, there were dolphin in the East River. And it was like the first time in 60 years there were dolphin in the East River. So I think it's coming back. But they said their plan is eventually to give the oysters to like New York restaurants, but they're so toxic right now that you can't eat them for like 10 years. So they have to wait for it to continue to filter because there's so much pollution in the harbor.
I remember somewhere I found, the Gowanus Canal.
Yeah.
My brother used to live there, and I looked up, I found some like thing from...
it's like a super fun site or something, isn't it?
It is. I found like the fishing limits or what they recommended you could eat from it. And it's like for my brother, because my brother used to live next to the Gowanus Canal.
Yeah.
Here it is. Gowanus Canal, New York Department Statement of Health. Eating fish and crabs taken from the Gowanus Canal could harm people's health. Women under 50 and children under 15 should not eat any fish or crabs from these waters. Others should follow the State Department's health advisory for eating fish and crabs.
There's like dead bodies and cars in there and stuff, right? It's like where the mafia used to dump bodies.
Yeah, that.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so you get some limits on like, bluefish and eel and how much fish from the Gowanus you can eat. There's some limits.
You will find people fishing in like every corner of New York.
Sure.
Just in a random like nook, and there'll be an old man there with like 5 lines in the water, and you're like, what?
DC's the same way. I think they're just catching in DC, they're catching monster catfish, and I don't think they eat them.
What do they do with them? Just for fun?
Yeah, I think so. You watch these, there's like hood fishing videos of this one guy on YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of hood fishing videos, but there's like one guy from DC on, I don't know, TikTok, YouTube. He catches just like monster catfish out of the Anacostia.
Oh, okay, right on. I like catfish. I don't mind a catfish fillet. You fry it up, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what the welcome dinner is. We ate there Saturday night where the welcome dinner is going to be. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Catfish, Taylor, Mississippi.
I'm so excited. We're coming down on Thursday. We're going to Memphis for some barbecue.
Cool.
That Orion is apparently aware of. So,
Sweet.
Never been to Memphis. I'm excited.
There's plenty to pass
5 weeks. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. Go to the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid. I mean, there's probably other better stuff to do there, but
the old I used to watch basketball games there. It's where the Grizzlies used to play. Yeah.
Who would have thunk the acoustics on the inside of a pyramid suck?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I went to the Pyramid in Vegas, and that, like, I guess at some point the Luxor or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's, I think at some point it was amazing, but now it's like one of the most rundown casinos on the Strip. And the inside is just bizarre. Like the elevators like go up this shoulder or whatever, and the rooms are kind of terraced down, and it's just in the casinos like in the atrium, and you're just looking up at like people's doors. It's very, very odd. It's not an exciting place. I'm sure in 1994 it was like thrilling, but yeah. Anyway,
man, I gotta watch out for this oyster thing. This is scary.
I know. I'm like, I was eating oysters in South Carolina in August, and I was like loving it, but they weren't from down there. They were all from Virginia, actually, I think. So.
Oh, and necrotizing fasciitis. Oh, that's the worst. Just like your skin. That's what like certain spiders do. Like
seems bad.
It's like your skin just like rots.
Oof. You die like quickly, like within a couple days. Like, oof.
Yeah,
brutal.
I guess no oysters.
An oyster.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, dude.
All right, man.
We'll end on that positive note, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you
later, Jimbo. See you, buddy.
We'll see you all next time on the Smoke and Hat Podcast.